Hey guys, how you doing? It's your boy Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineups for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. And before I go any further with the video, guys, like always, I would appreciate a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe right now. Please subscribe right now, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so this way you do not miss any of my new uploads. And like I've said before, I'll say it again, I upload every day, and starting tomorrow there will be an NBA upload and an MLB Stud 5 upload for those Major League Baseball fantasy players. I play all three, NFL, NBA, and MLB. So me being new to YouTube and starting this channel, obviously a few for all of you out there who are listening to me for the first time, it's going to take a little while before you get to know a little bit more about me, and not only that, to see enough of my videos up. But the purpose is for me, the whole idea for me is to definitely put out a video every day. So I'm going to try to make all the efforts necessary to try to do that for you guys every day and give you the best possible input I can give you to help you, hopefully have some success in winning a little bit more consistently. And the same goes for me. Obviously, I want to win consistently. I'm not looking to just play just for the heck of it. I play DFS because I'm a big sports fan, but at the same time, I definitely want to win money every single day, even if it's just a tiny bit. I definitely still want to win. All right, with that being said, man, let me recap last night's Stud 5. Obviously, last night, man, very disappointing night for me. First things first, as you know, I gave you guys Kevin Love as one of my Stud 5. I expected him to play well last night, and you know what? It probably wouldn't have been. I mean, everything turned out for the worse, obviously, because Cleveland did not play well at all last night. But Kevin Love getting hit in the face, obviously, and he didn't come back, and that's understandable. This is DFS, guys. This is what I keep telling you guys. Nothing is guaranteed. I want people to understand that. Us guys that are out there and women who are doing DFS on a daily basis, who are making out videos and trying to give you guys, suggestions and our opinion and what we research on, and to give you all the best possible tips that we can possibly give you guys. You know what? We're human, just like the professionals, man. They go out there, they play. We don't know if they're going to get hurt. We don't know if they're going to get into a fight. They're going to be thrown out of a game. We don't know if the coach decides to sit them because they're shooting poorly. These things are going to happen. So nothing is guaranteed that you're going to have a winning lineup every single night. That's why winning consistently on here is very, very difficult to do. It's just as like, hitting a fastball. So I mean, it's not, I don't want nobody to think that myself or anybody else is out there doing videos that we have the magic pill, to your success. The only thing we're here to do, and what we would like to do, is to give you an opportunity to make a little bit more money and to have a little more consistency with winning, especially if you don't have the time to do the research necessary. And trust me, I spend quite a bit of time looking over stuff on top of watching as many games as I can so that I can understand teams better as well. So, but a tough night with Love out. Obviously, I didn't do too well. But let me recap. I gave you Goran Dragic. He was the total complete bust last night. I have no idea why. Every night I have at least one guy that's just, as of late, for the last, I think, 4 days in a row, I've had at least one guy that is just totally, has just, done crap at all. Dragic was valued at about 36 fantasy points. He only put up 18.1. He was a minus like 18. He only had 4 field goals, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 3-pointers. He had 3 big turnovers that didn't help his situation at all. So he was just disastrous. And on top of that, I mean, Miami played so well against Cleveland. I mean, they totally just blanked out and shut down LeBron with that, defensive play last night. They were just really were just swarming him up and made it difficult for LeBron, which I had LeBron in 1 or 2 of my lineups. I thought he was going to just, really go off and kick butt against Miami, his former team, and his buddy over there, and so on and so forth with Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade had a good game. But anyway, Dragic just terrible. So, I mean, again, it is what it is. He didn't play well. The team did play well, but he wasn't one of them. So, bad choice there. We move on further. Eric Gordon had a very good night. He pretty much was valued at about 26 fantasy points. He put up 36.7, so he was a plus 10.7. 11 field goals, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 block. He had 8 big 3-pointers. We all I'm sure others on the internet were saying that Gordon, as well as Green and some of the other guys, Ariza. I had Ariza in a few of my lineups. He came up really big. I had Green in 1 or 2 lineups as well. Those guys all, they all put up because they had, they had no James Harden playing. So I mean, that all gives everybody more shots and more opportunity to put up points. So Eric Gordon, awesome game, man. Again, Love, as you know, only 1.2. He was at 8.1K, so he needed to put up about 40, and unfortunately he only put up 1.2. He got hurt. There's nothing we can do about that. So I knew then that I was totally done with that particular lineup, and I had him in about 3 of them. Olnick, met value just a little bit, positive maybe 2 points more, 37.5 total, 7 field goals, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 3-pointers. He's been playing fantastic, man, for Miami. He's really stepped up. He's become a very big, integral part of that team, offensively and defensively. I'm happy for the guy, So I mean, great job by Olnick, great job by the Heat last night. That was a big game. That was a big win for them too. That also puts a lot of mystery into Cleveland. I mean, if Miami ends up playing Cleveland, I mean, and they could play this kind of defense against them, it could be very dangerous for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hopefully, they do not run into the Miami Heat. At center, I gave you guys DeAndre Jordan. Jordan pretty much was, pretty much value. I mean, he was supposed to put about 40. He put 38.7. He had 5 field goals, 16 big rebounds. He was going to rebound. 3 assists, 1 block. So overall, 3 out of 5 guys, not too bad. Dragic, complete dud. And then unfortunately, Love, I lost out big time. So if anybody played Love, again, guys, like I'm going to say this now. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it time and time again. We are here to give you our opinion and our suggestions after we do extensive research and background, and we look back at certain things. We look at how they played against certain teams, how they play against certain players, some of these players, and it's a lot of research. And the bottom line is that it doesn't guarantee you anything. All right. So if you don't like anybody that I suggest, I don't suggest you play them. If you take 3 or 4 of them and you build a lineup around those 3 or 4, fantastic. And if I can help in any way, and I've helped you have a good night with any one of the players because you weren't even thinking of some of the players that I mentioned, then at least that's a win for me. I will realize, hey, you guys will respect the fact that I gave you a couple of pointers, I gave you a couple of players, and you weren't even thinking about those players, and you decided to play a few. Then, that to me, it's a positive thing. So, that's basically it. So I'm not gonna, let me not go any further with that. Let's move on to today's Stuff 5. We have another big 8-game slate. I mean, the season is winding down. I think there's only like about 9 or 10 games, more or less, on average for every NBA team. And obviously with Major League Baseball starting tomorrow, I'm going to be pretty busy because I will be playing some games with the NBA, and I will definitely be playing lineups in MLB. So a busy next 24 to 48 hours as we get acclimated to Major League Baseball. Stuff 5 today. We're going to start off at point guard. I like a couple of guys, but I'm actually going with one guy as my main guy, and that's going to be DJ Augustin. DJ Augustin going up at home against Brooklyn. Orlando plays very well at home. Brooklyn plays everybody fairly tough pretty much throughout the year. They also get into a lot of shootouts. I think this is going to be a fast-paced game. There's going to be a lot of offense going on here. Definitely it's going to be high scoring. I'll be very surprised if it's under 110 apiece. I expect this game to be at least 110 points or better for each team. And I do like a couple of guys in this game, which I'll probably even would stack in some lineups. But for the Stuff 5, definitely DJ Augustin. Brooklyn is 29th overall in the league against point guards. Orlando is 30th. So give or take, you could go with Augustin. I also like Dinwiddie in this game as well. I will probably pencil him in, probably in this same lineup later on. Just a little hint. Or I will have Dinwiddie in another lineup. But I like this game simply because both teams are poor defensively, and at the point guard position they really suck there. They don't defend. These guys like to score points in pretty much every position. I think a small forward is where there's a little difference, whereas Carroll and Crabbe definitely play better defense. But nonetheless, so, yeah, so 30th in fantasy points allowed and 25th in the league in fantasy points per minute. Those are definitely advantages for Augustin, and the Brooklyn Nets are 30th, absolutely last in 2-point field goal made by point guards against them with their defense. So I say DJ Augustin is going to have a great game here. He put up 35 his last game out, which was a couple of days ago against Phoenix, and he has hit value in 2 of his last 3 games versus Brooklyn. He had a 6.2, a dud game in his last game out, but he played only 15 minutes, so he was not an integral part of the offense, but had 35, 35-20, and a 21 spot the 2 previous games against Brooklyn, playing 23 and 28 minutes respectively. So I like DJ Augustin, pencil him in. I think he's in a good spot here today. My next stud is coming out of the shooting guard position, and same game, same game. I like D'Angelo Russell here for Brooklyn against Orlando. Orlando is 30th in the league defending against the shooting guard. They're 18th in fantasy points, 22nd in fantasy points per minute. They definitely struggle in the assist area, where Russell is not that bad of an assist player. They're 21st there, and they are almost near dead last in 2-point conversions made against their defense at the 2 guard. They're ranked 26th. So Orlando, tough spot for them. Again, like I said before, with the DJ Augustin in this game, as you can see, I already chose 2 guys here. There's at least 3 or 4 guys here that are probably going to go off, in this game between these 2 teams. So I mean, definitely a game that is worth taking a look at, even if you do one of the $1 single entries, or even the quarter ones that sometimes I do. You could definitely put a lineup there, and you never know. But value, he's hit value in 2 out of his last 4 games. He hasn't been that consistent, but he did have a 51 spot 2 games ago, D'Angelo, and he had a 39.50, a 30.6, 43.10 in his last 3 games versus Orlando, and that was actually with actually him having a little bit of a poor shooting night, because he put up a lot of shots and he made not as many as he should. I think it was probably like a 33% field goal percentage, and he still was able to put up those numbers. So I say that as long as this game just, these guys just come out like gangbusters, I see Russell and DJ Augustin both having monster games for each one of their teams. So again, D'Angelo Russell, great play here today. I will say pencil him in as your second stud. A third stud today is going to come out of the small forward. I think I have one for each. I like Mr. Josh Jackson here at home against the Clippers. Clippers are 22nd in the league defending against the three, and they have had their trouble with Mr. Jackson. Jackson has had a 29.90, 26.8, and a 24.7 in his last 3 games against the Clippers, and then that was with Booker or with Warren playing. If you have no Warren and no Booker today, I mean, as a matter of fact, from what I last heard, they both more than likely are not playing. And as you can see, Warren is a game time decision, as well as Booker. Right now, with only a few games left, Phoenix obviously not in playoff contention. I don't think they're in no hurry to bring back Warren or Booker. If both of those guys do not play, there's a sure-in for Josh Jackson to continue to get 35 to 40 minutes. And even though he put up 29, 26, and 24 respectively in those games against the Clippers, they were not with him playing 35 to 40 minutes, which is what he's averaging right now. So, guys, think about it. I mean, if he's going to get that kind of floor time now against the Clippers in a game like this, I think he's going to definitely put up a 40 spot or better here. So he's in prime position here to smash value. I like Josh Jackson here. Pencil him in as your number 3. Your 4th stud coming out of the power forward position, coming out of the same game, I like Mr. Tobias Harris. I like Harris here. 26th ranked Phoenix is against power forwards. They are 30th, dead last in fantasy points allowed to power forwards. They also dead last in fantasy points per minute. They also are 24th ranked against defense, defensive rebounds, and they are pretty weak also in the assist by power forwards. And Mr. Harris does a little bit of everything, but obviously he scores more than anything else. And they're also 26th against power forwards in giving up field goals, so the 2-point field goals. So I like Tobias Harris hands down here, best play. He's had 2 out of his last 4 games. He has hit value, so he's a little bit up and down, not as consistent as of late. He did have a 58.40 game versus Phoenix in his last game against Phoenix. So he definitely had a big game the last time out. I see no different this time around. The long as Phoenix stays a little close, we have a chance for him to smash value here as well. So pencil him in, guys. I think Tavares Harris, good play here as your 4th stud. Your 5th stud is coming once again, out of that Brooklyn-Orlando game. I like Mr. Vukovic. Vukovic is my 5th stud, and he has Brooklyn 29th overall against centers. They're 30th in the league, dead last in fantasy points allowed to centers. They're 30th in fantasy points per minute. So that's going to be really a big uptake for Vukovic, especially if they cannot defend. Obviously, they've had trouble, and they're 30th against in rebounds. So the Nets are just poor everywhere around. 2-point field goals, they're 29th, almost pretty much dead last as well. So I will say pencil in Mr. Vukovic. This should be definitely a sure in here. Not a lot of room here for value, but I'm going to share a couple value plays with you guys. It's 5,700 per player left. So you're definitely going to need to get at least two value players out of this if you want to run this lineup. I know I'm going to find 2. I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions. At point guard, well, we'll start at center. At center, man, to be really honest with you, the only other guy I like here tonight is Marc Gasol. And if Marc Gasol plays tonight and there's no Tyreke Evans, again, I will say he's going to get a lot more usage time. He's going to get a lot more shots, simply because they're going to need his offense. He did play well in his last game, putting up, I think it was like 55. Did he put up 55? I believe so. His last game, let's take a quick look here. 55. Yeah, he put 55 in his last game, 32 before that. But 34 minutes, count him in. He could get probably 34 to 35 again today, against Portland. And then at home, I don't know. I like Gasol here, but my best play, I think, is Vukovic. Other than that, Mr. Cantor has done well at home against Mr. Embiid. Cantor, I hear, his last 5 meetings, last 5 times he has played against Philly, he had 26 respectively, 39-10, 56-90, 41-20, pretty much in the last 4 games against them. So, I mean, he's been a fairly okay. Philadelphia is pretty good at center. They're 6th overall against the centers, but they are a little bit weak in the rebounding, and they're 22nd and 27th against assists. Mr. Cantor does like to dish the ball quite a little bit too, but he's more of a rebounder. I would say he may be a value player at 6,600. Anybody below that, not really. Maybe Greg Monroe at 4,800 if he gets a little bit of playing time against Utah. He may have to play tonight a little bit for Boston while with Hartford, especially if Mr. Morris, which I believe Mr. Morris is out at power forward. It says here game time decision, but I think I got a notification an hour or 2 ago that Mr. Morris is out today. So that would open up the doors that Monroe will probably start, possibly at center, or Mr. Baines. If he does start, then Hartford will probably go to the 4. So there'll be an opportunity there for Monroe to be a nice value play. Today. But that's basically it. As far as the top dogs, like I said, I like Vukovic, but all these guys aren't play. I mean, you want to play Towns, you want to pay 10,800, you can. Towns hasn't hit value in 2 straight games, but he has had a 41, 46, and 42 point games in his last 3 games against Atlanta. So he's in play. He's in play if you want to pay 10,800. Sure. Embiid. What I have here, last 2 games versus New York, is that actually his last game against New York. He put a 50 spot, but he hasn't hit value in 4 straight games. So I mean, he has been struggling a little bit, maybe a little tired. Who knows, right? So they're gonna have to be careful with Embiid because they're gonna need him in the playoffs. But again, I say the best play today is Vukovic. Let's go right back to the top. Point guard. Let's see here, point guard. What I have in my sheet here. Well, Augustin, as you know, I did mention in that Brooklyn Orlando game, I like Dinwiddie as well. 5,400, you could pencil him in there. You got yourself now 6,000 per player. So I mean, automatically there. So Dinwiddie is a good play. If you didn't want to go with Augustin, I would definitely consider Teague. Teague is probably my best play other than Kemba Walker from the older guys, from the more expensive guys. He has hit value 3 out of his last 5 games, and his last game against Atlanta, he did put up a 30 spot in put a 31 spot up in 34 minutes. And Atlanta is 27th in fantasy points per minute against the point guard, and they're 24th in assists. And Teague is a good assist man. And they are 25th in steals. And these are 3 areas where Mr. Jeff Teague will be able to have a lot of fun with. So I would consider Teague. Definitely, I have him in mind for another lineup. So he's in play. And I would say Mr. Walker, Kemba Walker, obviously against Cleveland. Cleveland is 26th overall against point guards. But they fairly are in the middle of the pack in 2-point field goals made against them. They're 16th in fantasy points, so that's the middle of the pack. They're 20th, a little lower in fantasy points per minute. But they are strong against rebounding against point guards. But they are very weak in steals, 26th, and in assists, they're 29th ranked. So those are 2 positive areas for Kemba Walker, who is a big assist guy and is willing to, and he does get his steals now and then. So good position for Kemba. So again, if you don't want to go with Augustin at 6,300, I would recommend Kemba Walker or Jeff Teague as some of these higher tier players. Lower tier, I'm not on Rubio today or Rozier. Tough game there. Both teams very good defensively. Boston right now, I guess, is just looking to just get healthy. Utah is pretty much going to battle. I know Rubio is going to get as much time as possible, as Utah still wants to make sure that they are in the playoffs and they move up in the standings. So it's a meaningful game for them. Trey Burke, after that 62-point game the other night, Trey Burke is in play. I mean, he's been playing fantastic. He's had 4 straight games at value or better. He hit that 62-20 the night before, 42 points. And then his last game versus Philly, he put up a 24-9 in 25 minutes. So, pretty much a point a minute. And the reason why is because Philadelphia, for whatever reason, Philadelphia is fairly good defense against point guards and shooting guards. But they do have their trouble with these slashy, good dribbling, slashing, driving type of fast point guards, and Trey Burke is one of those kind of players, so I could see him having another decent night here tonight, especially if New York wants to keep this game close. And they have actually played fairly close games against Philadelphia this year, losing I think by 10 one game and losing another one by just 7 or 8 points. So it could be an interesting game. Trey Burke is in play. Austin Rivers, I'm not on Austin tonight. They're playing Phoenix, good team to play against. He's in a good spot. Phoenix is not that good defensively, as we all know. Phoenix is 24th in fantasy points, 29th in fantasy points per minute, and they're actually 30th, dead last against point guards. I just don't know. He hasn't hit value in 3 straight games, Mr. Rivers, and 5 out of his last 7, so he hasn't been that consistent at all. Could snap out of it tonight, though. Don't get me wrong. He could snap out of it, have a big one against Phoenix. I mean, this is the perfect team to snap out of it. He did have a 24-40 and a 34-point games in his last 2 games against Phoenix. So I think he played 20. I got here 20. He played at least 29 to 35 minutes in both of those games. So I mean, you can go with him as well. Shooting guard. Let's move over. That shooting guard, I would say, let's see here. Well, other than Russell, obviously I like Mr. LeVert as well in the same game with Brooklyn. Another guy in play today, Portland, will be Mr. McCollum. I mean, there's no Lillard today, so there's going to be more time and more shots for Mr. McCollum. So, and usually sometimes not only plays the 2, he'll play the 1 like he normally does when Lillard is not on the court. So that means it's definitely going to be he's going to be highly owned, though. He's more than likely going to be chalked, as well as Napier. I plan to utilize these guys in some lineups. I wouldn't put them in as my stud, but Napier is a good value play, definitely, as a point guard. Now that I'm at shooting guard, I forgot to mention him. He's way down here. Shabazz Napier. And not only Shabazz Napier, I mean, you got Markelle Fultz. I mean, he had that wonderful game, just to touch back on it. He just came back. He put up 14 minutes. He put up 25.8 fantasy points the other day. He had 8 assists and 10 points. I mean, so against New York today, I mean, game gets a little out of hand. This guy might get, he may get 20, 25 minutes today. And you never know what can happen. So he's definitely in play today for value. At 4,500, he's someone to consider. And like I said, Shabazz Napier at 3,500 as well. He's going to start, obviously, for Lillard. So I mean, and he's going to take shots, and he's willing to take shots. And the times that he has played for Lillard, he has put up big games. So I mean, he's definitely going to be in one of my lineups. He'd probably be right in the same lineup. So guys, it's definitely someone to consider there. McCollum in the shooting guard is definitely, in play. Lou Wills has been playing very well as of late. Okay, Lou Williams. So he's in play. He's on my pool here as a player to look at. They're playing against Phoenix. Phoenix is dead last, 30th against shooting guards, 30th in fantasy points allowed, 30th in the league in fantasy points per minute, 29th near the bottom in rebounding, and 29th in steals. And Lou Will is capable of being all of that. Scoring, he definitely takes away. He's a steal guy, and he's also, he definitely is willing to rebound and pass. So he hasn't hit value in 3 out of his last 4 games, but he did have a 41-60 his last game out against Phoenix, and he did that in 32 minutes and back in December. So big 35-point game. So you never know. So yeah, I would say Lou Will is definitely in play. Mr. Wiggins is in play as well. Someone you can consider. Atlanta's 29th against shooting guards, almost near the bottom, 26th in fantasy points per minute, and 28th in rebounding. So, but he hasn't hit value in 5 out, or he has. The beauty of it is that he has been hitting value. He's had 5 out of 6 previous games hitting value, and versus Atlanta, he's put up a 34, 30, and 31. So he's pretty consistent there. 30+ points in 3 games versus Atlanta. He's definitely in play. You want him, he's 7,000, so you need 35. That's pretty much about what you're going to more than likely get. He's averaging 30 in the season, but he's averaging 30, somewhat close to 35 against Atlanta. So I mean, I think it's a fair price. I think I can definitely do it. Batum against Cleveland. I'm not on him, but Cleveland, they're in the middle of the pack defending against the shooting guard. They're 29th in assists and 27th in rebounds, and those are areas that are pluses for Batum. He did have a 33 spot versus Cleveland in his last game in 32 minutes, but he hasn't hit value in his last 2 games, and of course he's been in and out of the lineup because of injuries. And so I'm just when he's in there and he is rolled, he's played 3 or 4 games straight and he's got his rhythm going. The guy is definitely very good. I just don't know about today. I'll definitely pass him, but I think he is definitely someone you can consider. Tim Hardaway Jr., I'm not on him at all tonight. LeVert, yes. Jaylen Brown, possibly. Ronnie Hood, possibly. Wayne Selden, especially if there is no Tyreek Evans. You could expect him to get some time on the floor. He could be a nice value play at 4,400. We move on. Small forward. Small forwards, man. Other than James could bounce back with a big game today. I would think he's in play. Joe Ingles is in play. I can't see Lamb, especially with Batum back in the lineup. He might not get as many minutes. Beasley, as always, you never know what you're going to get with Beasley. He might have a good game. Ingles definitely in play. I would say Damari Carroll definitely in play. Today Carroll's done pretty well. I mean, they're facing Orlando, as we know. Last 3 games versus Orlando, I got here, he put up 32, 33, and 34 respectively, so he's been very consistent against them. And at 5,600, it's a good play. He's definitely a good play today, and this should be an interesting game. This should be a crazy game. Other than that, I mean, Crabbe and Harris, you never know. On the bottom half here, I always see maybe Evan Turner, simply because Harkless is definitely out, so Turner's going to definitely get some run on the floor, definitely an uptick in minutes, so in floor time. So he may be someone to consider as a value play. 3,600. Power forward. I like Julius Randle. He's definitely in play. Today, Julius Randle is playing against what we got here. what I got for Randall. He's playing against Dallas. Dallas is 25th ranked, 26 against fantasy points, 22nd in fantasy points per minute, so they're in the bottom tier. 29th in rebounds. That's definitely a killer. That is definitely a bonus for Randall. And 29th in assists. And Randall, is more of a rebounder, banger, putting back the easy buckets under the boards. They're 24th ranked, Dallas, in defending the 2-point conversion. So I mean, yeah, this is definitely, I would say he's definitely a strong candidate today to be one of your studs if you didn't want to go with Tavares Harris. I like those two the best, to be honest with you, Harris and Randall today. If you can play them together and find the value, I would suggest you could try to do that. I'm going to try to do that myself personally. He's had, he hasn't quite hit value. I see here he's 4 games straight, pretty much close to value, but not quite there. But he's definitely has killed Dallas, man. 45.60, 41.10, 37, 48.60 in his last 4 games against Dallas. I say that's definitely very positive. And then with Dallas being poor with the rebounding and assists and the 2-point conversion and fantasy points in general, I see that as definitely someone to consider. So Randall is definitely in play for me today at power forward. Definitely you got to consider Mr. Gordon against the Nets. Definitely, let's see what he has done. He has had a 35, 59, 36, 50.50 in his last 4 games against Brooklyn. I say he's definitely in play as well. And knowing that Brooklyn is, they're 13th overall defending against power forwards, one of their better defending defenses is the power forward spot for Brooklyn, but nonetheless, 23rd in the 2-point conversion, and Gordon likes to get a lot of those shots up close up there under the boards, so it's a good position for him. I still think they're just because of this game being so fast-paced, and he likes playing that way as well, and taking his threes and so on and so forth. It could be a very, very dangerous game for Brooklyn with Aaron Gordon, so I would say he's definitely in play, guys. You definitely should consider him. Down here in the bottom, Jefferson is in play, same game against Orlando. Aminu has been on fire. He's been incredible for the Portland Trailblazers. So he's definitely in play. We definitely should consider Aminu. Same thing here with Green. Not too much on Saric, even though Saric, I believe, has done well against the Knicks. Let's see if I can look at this quickly. Saric, yeah, possibly. That's hit value in 6 straight games. Actually, he has not hit value in 6 straight games. Had 36.90 last time out against the Knicks in 27 minutes, so that's pretty darn good. More than a point and a half fantasy point a minute. So definitely good. JaMychal Green, good spot against Portland, and Derek Favors is probably one of my lower, value plays here. 5,700. I think he is definitely in play. Let's get him here against LA. Powell is out. Okay, I believe he is out. It says here game time position. If he is out, then that means Kleber is going to he's going to be definitely a value play here at 3,500. I think he played in the last game, and he put up 20 somewhat fantasy points. Yeah, 21.8 in 32 minutes. So Maxi Kleber is in play here today as a value play in this game, especially if Powell is out and Nowitzki is not going to play the entire game. So I would say, there goes another value play there for you guys. Center, did I touch up on everybody? I pretty much did. I think that is it, guys, man. Those are my plays. Those are some of the guys I'm looking at. Those are some of the value plays. If you wanted to play these 5 and throw in those other value plays around it, I think you still put up a nice lineup. And, for a GPP play, maybe even for the big one tonight, why not? Especially those Brooklyn, Orlando guys. That game should be pretty high scoring. But that's basically it, man. This is the stuff 5 for today, guys. You got DJ Augustin, D'Angelo Russell, Josh Jackson, Tavares Harris, and Nikolai Vukovic. All right, those are the stuff 5 for today, guys. Good luck tonight. Remember, I have that video. It's coming out probably before the day is over. The night is over. It's going to be some tips and some strategies that I use for Major League Baseball. So if you guys play Major League Baseball, look for that on DFS Zone. It should be on later on today. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, because you will be getting not only the NBA for the remainder of the year, Stud 5, and my actual pool players that I'm looking at, the players that I'm looking at for NBA for the remainder of the year and playoffs, but at the same time, I'm going to discuss with you guys my Major League Baseball Stud 5. So 2 videos a day. I'm going to be pretty busy. but I'm more than happy to do it because I want to be able to share those thoughts and those inputs with you guys out there. So again, if you haven't subscribed, please smash the subscribe button, and please turn on the notifications, so this way you will receive those new uploads as soon as they go up. All right, guys, good luck tonight. God bless. Your boy Manny is out.